Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details are here, and some of it has people concerned if they're a longtime fan of the Final Fantasy franchise. I, for one, am actually encouraged by what I'm seeing. This is something that I have said more and more games will probably start doing. I'm going to break down all the information here right at the beginning of the video. That way you don't have to go looking for it, and we do this in the form of an update. This is a Reforge update. Final Fantasy XVI action gameplay will be different for many players, but we're being given assurances that it will work well and is going to be good for the game. I'm going to break this down for you in a very quick update. If you like these, hit subscribe and the bell button, or check out Reforge Gaming where I streamed the discussion live. I'm going to talk about what will be different and will they help players looking for more classic turn-based style, and why am I excited as a non-Final Fantasy player. I've not really ever played the games at great length. I know they're hugely popular, but this information has me very interested. According to GamesRadar.com, Final Fantasy XVI's Naoki Yoshida thinks the new action gameplay is good for the entire series. So they actually think, they're arguing like this is going to be very good for the game. This is a good decision that we made. Now rest assured, if this sounds bad to you, the producer of Final Fantasy XVI says that the game will lend a helping hand to players who are not fans of action games. You have to understand the difference between action and turn-based is action is more moment to moment. You're in direct control. It's faster paced. It's going to feel more like an action movie. I mean, that's why they use the word action. Now, turn-based is where you sort of stand there and take turns and queue things up. Traditionally, you saw this in, the old school Final Fantasy games, Mario RPG, or even a game like Child of Light, where you're taking turns. That's why it's called turn-based combat. Now, he did talk about the challenge of doing combat in a Final Fantasy game. Speaking to Games Radar, Naoki Yoshida explains that the breadth of combat options available throughout the entire Final Fantasy series means that, quote, it's impossible to put together what every single fan wants into a single Final Fantasy game. On top of that, catering to, quote, a completely new generation of gamers means that Square Enix is looking to combine a classic feeling setting with, quote, real-time action that's more reminiscent of modern games. This is something I've been contending for. I noticed this in New World and said more and more games are going to move toward the real-time action combat as opposed to more of the traditional combat styles in MMORPGs and games like Final Fantasy. Now, if you're not good at action games, he says, of course we know that there are a lot of players out there who may not excel at action games, but those players do not need to worry because we have been developing systems and developing in-game features that will lend a helping hand to those players. So I don't know if people would necessarily classify themselves as being bad at action games. It would probably be more along the lines of they just don't like them that much. Now, there's no details yet. The director did not outline what those features might look like, but did say that we have a lot of confidence in these systems, and we want to get those into the hands of players. We're actually kind of excited to have players that maybe don't consider themselves action game players to actually get in and try these new systems. So he's seeing long-standing fans that might be apprehensive actually getting in and enjoying it, but they're also very clearly setting their sights on folks who may have not played Final Fantasy games before. They're the more modern player target. Now, that's why I'm excited about this. I've said more and more that the turn-based or the tabbed kind of combat in traditional MMORPGs or the older Final Fantasy games, I feel that many people are turned off by that, unless, of course, you sort of grew up on them or cut your teeth on Final Fantasy games with the turn-based. You're going to be looking for that moment-to-moment intense action as opposed to just sort of standing there. Now, that's also a matter of preference, but as that preference grows, gaming companies will want to meet that preference, and it seems they're doing it with Final Fantasy XVI. I think more games will be doing this. I think the action-style combat's going to show up more. What do you think? Is this your preference? Will this keep you away from the game? Let us know in the comments below what you think about this decision, and will this make you play the game or not? As always, hit subscribe and the bell button for continuous updates here on Reforge Updates, or check out Reforge Gaming where I'll stream live, and I will see you in the next video. And I'll see the rest of you guys right now. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Where do you land on this? We'll do a poll here in just a brief moment. This is one that got me excited because that is something that always sort of made me stay away from Final Fantasy games. I always felt like their combat systems were incredibly complex or very just different or arduous and just not my cup of tea. And this one has me excited. I love a good action-adventure RPG. I know Final Fantasy is incredibly popular. I know Final Fantasy is a game that is got great, usually great graphics and score and story, and I just have never been able to get into them. What's good, Feed? Good to see you in the chat. And we have a something here from Creature on the topic. Gave an interview, and these seem to be the most important takeaways. Oh, we have a full list of takeaways about this game from Yoshi P, so we'll be taking a look at that too momentarily. Thank you, Creature. Oh my word, it's a long list. I'll pull that up in a moment. Guys, go through your morning ritual. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome in to another episode here on Reforge Gaming. Switch to live chat, smash the like button if you've never been here before. I'm a safe for work broadcaster, and we got a full day for you. We are covering Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details right now. We'll probably get into a debate about action versus turn-based. What's the preference? Do games like this owe it to the fans to stay more faithful to that franchise style of combat, or can they move on? We will also be checking out the Requiem. It's not Plague Tale. It's Plague Tale Requiem. I said it wrong. A Plague Tale Requiem live stream today. They apparently have extended gameplay. We'll be reacting to Dreamcast Guy's video about he thinks Diablo Immortal has failed and is losing money. We'll be doing all of that today. And then there's a members-only AMA to end the day. We will not be going over to Reforge Radio today, and part of that has to do with what I'm going to address during the members' AMA. We've made some decisions that I think is going to really be better for me and you and all the members that are supporting all the various channels and things that we do. So thank you for being here this morning. We only need 22 more likes for the first 100 likes. Let's get a poll going. Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details. Does action combat instead of turn-based interest you? Well, hang on. Does action combat versus turn-based hurt the game? Let's make it simple. Does it hurt the game? Yes or no? Do you think going to action combat versus turn-based, does this hurt the game? Because this is where we are. This is the conversation. Final Fantasy XVI turn-based combat will not be a thing. It will be an action-style combat system as opposed to turn-based. And people that love Final Fantasy may find this to be off-putting. I'm interested. As soon as I read it, I was like, well, I'm playing that game now. Usually, okay, we won't play it for very long, I'm sure. Usually, for me, when I see that Final Fantasy and I expect that turn-based combat or whatever it is where it stops and freezes and slows down, I'm like, I'm good. That doesn't jive with me. That's not something that I enjoy. Final Fantasy hasn't been turn-based in years. I feel like people should be used to this by now. Final Fantasy 15 was action and not turn-based. Okay, so if Final Fantasy 15 wasn't turn-based, did it have options for people that might have wanted turn-based? It hasn't been turn-based in multiple generations, so I don't get what the devs mean. Right, he's highlighting something here he said the new action gameplay is good for the entire series. So there's a new, they're doing something new in this game. Maybe they're going more down to an action RPG away from maybe JRPG. I don't know, because JRPGs are usually pretty action and pretty high intense combat. Final Fantasy XIII wasn't even turn-based anymore. I'm curious why they're highlighting this. Do they honestly think that that's still an expectation? Because he seems to be saying there might be people that are worried that they're not fans of action games or not good at actions games. Like, well, why would that be a focus of these interviews if it's been like this for a long time? Unless there's a giant divergence in 16 from what they have been doing. Final Fantasy X was the last true turn-based. Really? All right, let's pull up this bullet point thing that he did then. Because the interview reads like they're making a big change. Like, that's how it reads. Like, when I read that interview, I was like, well, I want to play that game. It sounds like they're really changing the combat to be more like an action game. Yoshi P says he has to accept Final Fantasy XVI 1.0 and base Final Fantasy 15 hurt the series' reputation. Oh, he has to accept that, 14 and the base of 15. Clearly, they think something was wrong with the way that they did 15. Right, so takeaways from the interview, he seems to think that they made mistakes with 15 and 14. 14 1.0 and 15 and base 15 hurt the series' reputation. So they seem to be wanting to move away from whatever they did in those games. What did they do specifically with those games' combat systems that would make him think we need to go to a completely new action style that might turn people off? They might think, oh, I'm not good at action games, I don't want to play that. 15 plays like a mobile game, says Morgan. Final Fantasy 13 was turn-based through 7, 10, and 13 was all turn-based, says Hasio. I think the combat will play pretty similar to the Final Fantasy VII Remake, says Collins, with tweaks to the world and mechanics and gear and leveling. 15's problems weren't the combat, true, it was everything else. 13 was real-time combat, says Loot, even though you selected your moves. Final Fantasy XVI combat is going to be like the 7 Remake, but without the slowdown for the turn-based. But the Devil May Cry combat lead is leading this game. That's why it's different. Okay, so there's a Devil May Cry guy working on the combat for 16. So when they say new action-style combat, do you think it's going to be more like Devil May Cry, and then that's going to be what he's talking about? So when he says people that aren't good at action games, I'm like, who says that? Does anybody say that? Like, yeah, I'm not really good at action games. Like, most action games are pretty casual. I'm wondering if we're getting lost in translation here. You know what I'm saying? Final Fantasy 15 was in dev hell, says Ashen. The characters were great, but halfway into the game, things were clearly rushed and went from open world to corridor simulator. You can hold down buttons in 15 and auto-dodge and attack, says Morgan. 15's combat was fun and exciting. I'm excited that they're leaning more into live-action combat, says McD09. The remake series is action combat too. Great move. Final Fantasy 15 had a bad story, although I did like cooking and fishing. More Devil May Cry than Final Fantasy VII Remake. Greenside seems to be thinking and indicating we have reason to believe that the Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details that we have about it being more action, it's going to lean towards Devil May Cry and not Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because a lot of you guys were saying, no, it's going to be like the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But he's saying they've got a Devil May Cry guy as a combat lead, and then that's going to heavily influence what they do with it. Final Fantasy 15 was easy. It felt like you weren't even fighting. What was the one that started out with like a broken down car and you were like a boy band? Was that the one you guys are talking about? Because I think I played that one for a little bit, and I was actually enjoying it. Is that 15, the boy band? Broke down on the side of the road, and you're like pushing the car or whatever? That's 15? So you're telling me that one, like, everybody hated it. I enjoyed it, but I played for a teeny bit in the open world. I probably put maybe 3 or 4 hours into the game. So I didn't play a whole lot of it. Gordian Quest is a game launching on June 23rd. Oh, it's a deck-building strategy game? Oh, yeah. Cool, but not my cup of tea. Thank you. It's cool. I don't hate it. That's the worst. Boy Band is 15. Car on rails when first out. I had fun, and I grabbed the platinum. You platinumed it, bro, sexy. See, everybody was acting... People in chat were acting like 15 was a tragedy, you know? I didn't hate 15, it's just that the story is not the greatest. The only time I see Noctis is Tekken 7. 15 was dog crap, says Morgan. I feel bad for the devs who worked a decade on that. All right, chat, what's your favorite Final Fantasy then? You guys are all over the map this morning. This is why I love the Final Fantasy community, because you guys will come in and educate me. I'm the dum-dum. I don't know anything about these games. I played 7 when I was a kid. I played the 7 Remake for a little bit. I played Final Fantasy 15 for a little bit and thought this game could be pretty cool, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. I got a Final Fantasy XIV. I got a Final Fantasy VII. I got a Final Fantasy X. I've got another 7. Ronald saying Final Fantasy 9. I've got a Final Fantasy 8. 2 people saying 8. Another person saying 10. Another person saying 10. Another person saying 7. Another person saying 10. It sounds like 10, 7, and 8. 10, 7, and 8 keeps... There's a bunch of 9s. So 7, 8, 9, 10. It sounds like to me that's the golden age of Final Fantasy. Then there's other people throwing out, 12s and things. But 7, 8, 9, 10 sounds like the golden age of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy lovers. Now, here's the thing. You guys are saying that, right? You're all saying 7, 8, 9, 10. 7, 8, 9, 10. They're getting a lot of votes, okay? Answer me this. Were all those games turn-based? Or did they have, any... Because I know 7 was turn-based, for frick's sake. I played that one. I got pretty far in that one. I played pretty far in that one. I remember liking that one, kind of. 9 is my second. 7, 8, 9, and 10 were the best. Okay, I'm getting, they're all turn-based. Yes, turn-based. So, you're all saying, okay, so track with me here. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy, but I want you to track with me. 7, 8, 9, and 10 were getting more votes than the others, and they were all turn-based. And you're not concerned that they're going to continue doing this action thing. Now, the games that you didn't pick that started to do more action-based combat, people said it's been like this since, 13 or something? Is the action combat at all to blame for why you're not picking some of the more recent Final Fantasies, like 13, 14, and 15? Or are you picking them for other reasons? Or, I'm sorry, you're not picking them. You dislike them, they're not on the top of your list, they're not considered the best. I'm just noticing a correlation in the pattern. Is everyone's like, 7, 8, 9, 10 are the best. Okay, those are all turn-based, and you guys are acting like all the action combat's not a problem. It's been around for a while, and yet none of you picked the action ones. It wasn't the combat. The story sucks, says Captain Morgan. 7, 8, 9, 10 had best story. Story. You guys are all saying the story. Now, somebody's saying the action-based turned me off. Bad stories. This is amazing. You guys are having... This is the most corroborated gamer opinion correlation I think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen this before in my life. You're all liars. You planned this ahead of time. So you're all saying, this is remarkable. So you all picked 7, 8, 9, and 10. There's a couple of weirdos that picked, random ones like 12. That's fine. We love you, okay? We love you. But you all say 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is really scientific. I'm just reading chat a mile a minute at 9:30 in the morning while I drink some delicious Reforge roast. And you all are saying 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I'm like, now hang on a minute, gentlemen. And any ladies that are actually here, there's 2 of them, I think. Hang on a minute. You're all saying that 7, 8, 9, and 10 are the best, and those are the ones that are turn-based. Okay? Final Fantasy XVI, Yoshi's saying, listen to me. You will never get your money back. No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying you are going to be playing a new action style. Okay, and people are worried. People are saying, no, I'm not good at action games. They're anticipating people saying, I'm not good at action games. Him saying that makes me think that Greenside is right. They're going to be more Devil May Cry in this. And that's a game where you got to be good at that particular combat type. They say there's helping hands or whatever. And then when I say, now hang on, you guys are all picking the turn-based Final Fantasies as your favorite. All these other ones that went to action, wasn't that the problem then? And you say no. No, you all say it was the story. The stories sucked. Remarkable agreement. A remarkable amount of agreement this morning. Aunt Sally says, lady here. There's one. We have to hit our daily quota of 2 females in the chat. Quick. I think the best judge is asking for preference between 7 original and 7 remake. That would judge how the change in combat affects people's perception of the game. Well, frick it. Let's do a better poll then, Alex. Do you guys think Alex is suggesting, is that good? Is that a good poll? Which do you prefer? Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Original or remake? Should we do that poll? Do you think that'll be a good meter, a good determiner of what y'all think about the action combat? Games are too far apart, says Eugene. Turn-based story is for hardcore Final Fantasy gamers. Final Fantasy VII Remake. They changed the story in 7 Remake. Oh, they changed the story. Oh, no. Oh, no. We know story's important. You guys all said that a lot this morning. Listen, if you guys are just tuning in, we're having some fun. I am not a Final Fantasy guy. I'm not. Come in here and educate me, okay? Sometimes I do shows like this where I do my research, I read the article, I think, okay, this sounds great. Give you my opinion, and then you got to kind of educate me, professors, all of you professors of Final Fantasy. I'm sitting in your classroom today. Tell me what the deal is with the franchise. I'm a Safe for Work broadcaster. You can subscribe in confidence. I'll be in your sub feed all week doing a talk show like this. It's basically video game podcasting, video game radio, and I am Safe for Work. Many people just sort of lurk and listen throughout the day, so you can subscribe in confidence. Hit the sub button, smash that like button. We're on our way to having a huge day. We're going to be reacting to Dreamcast Guy's video about Diablo Immortal has failed. And then we're going to be, actually before that, we're going to be watching Plague Tale Requiem extended gameplay reveal. They're doing that around noon. So I have a full day of content for you. Cool Cobra shirt. Yes, if you like my Cobra shirt, if you like this G.I. Joe, the shirt from the G.I. Joe cartoon, the shirt command will take you to the 80s Tees 80s cartoon collection. Use my code over there for 30% off. Order some coffee. Become a paying member. We're doing a members AMA this afternoon. Big changes are coming. You guys are going to love these changes. You're going to really like these changes, okay? You're going to like them. You're going to like the way that you look. I guarantee it. Don't forget, Friday night is the big community game night with Fall Guys. So get yourself an active membership. Gift some memberships. Let's get it going. We got a stretch goal of 2,000 members. We're almost at 1,700. So let's keep it going. Thanks, guys. People are acting like the story's a totally different thing. Sure, there were some changes, but it makes sense because we live in a different time and games events. All right. Let's do this. Which do you prefer? Final Fantasy VII Original or Final Fantasy VII Remake? Which do you prefer? We're going to be separating. Usually you would say the men from the boys, but we don't want to presume because that'll get you canceled. We'll say we're going to separate the real from the fake, I guess. I don't know what the frick I'm saying. I actually liked the opening of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I did. And then I got to the town, and as cute and as buxom as Tifa is, she could not keep my attention. Okay, she's adorable. By the way, her voice actor, whoever voice acted Tifa, I'm telling you, they're like a clone of Kelly Link. If you're familiar with Kelly Link, she's a super charming host. She hosts game events and things of that nature, and I swear to frick, there's a clone of her somewhere that voiced Tifa. In any case, I got to the town, and I was like, this is cool. And I talked to somebody, and then I talked to another person, and then another person. And wait, there's more. I talked to another person. And finally, it was time to go and do something. All right, so I went into an alleyway and fought some bugs. And then I went back to town and had to do more talking. Now, here's the thing. You're sitting there as a Final Fantasy player saying, this guy's an idiot. And I know you're thinking that because I am. And because you all made it very clear that Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and 10 were the best, and it wasn't because of the turn-based combat, it was because of the story. So I'm going back to town, and I'm not interested in the story, which you're telling me is the best part, right? You're telling me it's the best part. And that's why I couldn't get into it. I could not get into Final Fantasy VII Remake. I loved the open. I got into a rhythm with the combat. I enjoyed that early boss fight. I thought, okay, this is actually not too bad, right? He doesn't like dialogue and backstory. Now, that's not true. I do like some dialogue, and I do like some backstory. Britt Baron is the voice of Tifa. Well, Britt Baron and Kelly Link, put them in a room, and I swear to frick, if you blindfolded yourself, you wouldn't be able to tell who's talking. I swear, she sounded just like her. Now, I might be exaggerating because, you know, I heard that voice, and I was like, is that Kelly Link? It's probably not as close as I'm saying, but you get what I'm saying. He responded and said, well, I'd like to talk to him. Yeah. I know he's going to talk to him. I hope he does. We'll do a react video to that, and then you'll all get in my chat and say dumb political platitudes because you think that'll affect reality in the world, and I'll have to delete all the comments. But if Asmongold talks to Teddy Bear Cruz, I've just nicknamed him that, if he ever wants to retire and get into wrestling, I think that could be his name, and he could just, you know, curl up on the ground and cry, and that would be his magical power. But if he talks to him, then I'll react to it. And you'll all have to be on your best behavior because I don't give a frick what you think politically, and nobody else in chat does either. Adam Russell with 5 months of a milestone. Thanks for coming back in. Adam, good morning, Lono. Have a good day, brother. Thank you. I put a video in Discord of it. He didn't talk to him yet. He just said he's interested in talking to him. It hasn't happened yet, as far as I know. This vacation manager says, shush, Eugene, shush. I'm shushing you. If you don't need story, then 15 is for you. Lots of hunts you can do and slay out, run around and slay out. You never have to touch the story much, which is weak sauce anyway. Yeah, but here's the thing. I can't imagine any of you guys that are Final Fantasy fans accepting a weak story or I'm assuming, would you guys be okay with a skippable story? Can I just click through it? You know, ooh, Tifa's cute. Oh, she's so buxom and she's bouncing around. Cool. Click. Can I get to the action now? I can only stare at waifus for so long before I just start to feel like this is a little awkward, right? Why is everybody flirting with me? Why is everything an innuendo? What is happening here? Just everybody date everybody and, it's just kiss and get it over with. Every scene feels that way. Maybe that's why you guys like it so much. Nah. And I'm curious, though, are you okay with, just skipping it? You know? Just skipping it. I'll play through Final Fantasy XVI, and I'll trigger every last one of you. I will skip over all the dialogue. I'll make fun of the characters. I'll Mystery Science Theater it. You'll hate me by the end of it. You'll wanna hurt me in a very personal way. It's the disrespect. You're later in the day still stewing about it. You're still angry. It really was the disrespect. It's the disrespect, okay? It's the disrespect. You'll be so... Do you ever do that? Be honest with yourself. Do you ever get angry about something, video game, TV show, like Obi-Wan Kenobi? Do you ever do that? Do you ever get so angry that later in the day, you're just I'm just still angry about that? You bring it up. You self-monologue. I'm going to make you rage out self-monologue when Final Fantasy XVI comes out. I'm going to make you hate me so much. It might be the end of my career. I've been canceled once, but that might be my second cancel. I mean, you guys, I know that Yoshi P is deity and people worship him. You might have a shrine in your room or whatever, and you give a little kiss and a prayer at night. But that may be the end of my career. When's this thing launch? How much time do I have left? Never gonna happen. I would log off YouTube if you skip the dialogue in 16. Forget From Fridays, dude. Let's do Final Fantasy Fridays. What are we doing? The Ravens have ruined Sunday evening through Monday evening a few times. You're just so upset. You just can't get over it. The next day, You know, you're the guy that you work with in the other cubicles, like bringing it up. He's like, "Did you see that game last night?" That, and you're like, "I could freaking punch you through a wall if I didn't need this job." Oh my goodness gracious! Final Fantasy VII Remake. Look at that poll. That's what she said. Look at that poll at the top of the chat. 145 votes. If you've never been here before, I'm having a good morning, and I'm excited about the day. And I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I'm slap happy. I woke up at like 4:30 and couldn't fall back asleep. It was really irritating, but it's giving me some kind of weird energy this morning. Maybe that's the secret to life, is not sleeping. That's not medical advice, by the way. We don't do that here. But drink water and just, Final Fantasy Original or Final Fantasy VII Remake. Which do you prefer? You can vote at the top of the chat. Not a lot of votes so far, so there's 300 people here. Smash that vote. Just pick one. And you're like, I don't play. Just shut up and pick one, right? And click the like button. And we need 44 more likes. And give me money. What? Come on. Where's the coffee orders in the member? I'm kidding. So many people are going to leave. What the frick is wrong with this guy? He just asked for money, just blatantly. Yeah, drink water and think happy thoughts. That's right. Try being a Tennessee Vols fan. It's an emotional roller coaster. Yeah. I wonder how many here played the original 7. Well, my brother's in chat. He played the original 7, as did I. I think he played it to completion. I stalled out in some city. We got real high up in some building. And I remember the ground in the building being like a reflective tile or something. And so Final Fantasy VII, I didn't finish it. I remember watching him play, was it the original Final Fantasy on the original Nintendo? And being like, this is actually a wonderful game. I would never play it, obviously, because I'm not smart enough to. But he was playing it, and I remember thinking, this is great. I liked Super Mario RPG. It essentially was, it just stole all of its ideas from Final Fantasy. You had a big guy with a cannon arm, and I was just waiting for Mario to pull out a big, cloud sword. You played the original on PlayStation 1, lots of stairs. My man said, bruh. Did I just bruh moment? Lono being a tyrant as always. That's what I do. I played the original Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1. I didn't finish it until it came to mobile. This is hurting my feelings. My favorite thing about Final Fantasy, is that they've never been true to their name, right? They've never been true to their name. I think that's my favorite thing in their branding, is you're always like, is it though? Final Fantasy. Is it the Final Fantasy? Is it the final? Because you're on 16. So quit being a liar. That's my favorite thing about Final Fantasy, is the branding. The branding's freaking brilliant. Like, I want to make a TV show called The Final Season, so I could be like, the final season, season 7, just to absolutely just trigger people. Like, I just don't get it. This is supposed to be the final season? It's 7. They just announced season 8. Will it ever be the final? I answered you, bro. No. I played OG Final Fantasy VII for a few hours before quitting because I hated it. But yes, indeed, I did play the original NES game all the way to the credits. There you go. So he played the real deal. He played the real Final Fantasy. The funny thing is that they released a PSP prequel to Final Fantasy VII that's equally as good in my opinion, but they are remastering it for the fall. You sound like my wife. She says the same thing. I would love that. I would love to be the dad or the husband that is so into Final Fantasy VII, and your wife or daughter is so rude about it. So it's Final Fantasy? And which one is this? Oh, 16. Okay, it's not very fun. My wife walked in and ruined it. I didn't get to finish it. I didn't get to
I was
finish
helping.
it.
It wasn't even that good.
Oh my gosh! It was gonna be a great clip, and you ruined it with your female presence disrupted my ability. You know, you're like my kryptonite. You got to play a JRPG, Lono. Elden Ring doesn't count. I've played JRPGs before, and what's amazing about them is that they put so much work into them, and I can't enjoy them at all. Like, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's this. It's this. Babe, I need you to say I didn't
called me your kryptonite, basically.
I need you to say that you
Isn't that rude?
didn't get bread from the store.
What?
I just need you to say that.
I didn't get bread from the store.
That's JRPGs in a nutshell. Everything is so over the top. They verbalize their emotional states to the point that I get a little uncomfortable. I get really uncomfortable.
You can relate?
What?
You can relate.
I can't relate to that.
Verbalizing your emotional state.
Babe, being in touch with your emotions is not the same as making like a halfway like moaning sound at being surprised, shocked, sad, happy. It doesn't matter what they feel. They're like, oh, like they're all doing the same thing. And the breathy voices, it's like, I'm here to help you. It's like, golly, my ear feels hot from playing the game.
So gross. Can we take a poll? Can you guys hear that clicking of his drink? The constant
stop it.
The constant clicking.
I fidget. If I don't fidget, I bounce in the chair. I'm constantly moving. It's like I got a tiger inside me. It's, you know,
a tiger?
What do you want? I got tiger blood. You know, winning.
Like a baby tiger?
The constant audible gasping in animes and JRPG style stuff, it drives me nuts. It's awful. It's truly awful. No. I actually will say this. Oh my
goodness.
What was the one that I played that I won't click it. What was the one that I played that I liked and I said it was the most approachable JRPG, and then someone's like, it's not really a JRPG. What one was that? Baby Tiger? Hey, you watch your mouth. Yo, my man GC Plugs, first new member of the day, jumping back in. I heard his feelings. Yeah, Scarlet Nexus. Thank you, Eric. I enjoyed Scarlet Nexus. I actually had a pretty good time with that. But most of the time, the other thing that I don't like about JRPGs is how much you have to hit and juggle. It's like you're just like swing. It's like you take a sword and you go like this, and it's just like numbers just flying off the enemy, right? Wait, oh, you're not new. You're renewing. Oh, it showed up in chat like a new one. You're right. You have a blue badge. My bad. I'm sorry. Welcome back to Reforge Gaming. You son of... I'm just kidding. I don't know why that... We don't need to do that. We don't need to make it that serious when someone renews. But thank you and welcome back. Yeah, it's the constant numbers. It just... There's something inherently... There's a frivolity to the combat. Do you remember when Skill Up said Biomutant felt like he was punching a pillow? Right? I know you can hide the numbers. Okay, maybe I should try that the next time I play one of these games, because it gives me a headache. But even if I hid the numbers, it kind of feels like I'm punching a pillow. There's that lack of impact. It's just 85 swings of a sword the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. I have this huge sword. I'm like, fwing, 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 and I say something with every attack. You know, like, hootapata, hoopatata. And so you're hearing that over and over and over again. And I don't know. I can't do it. I need there to be that impact. It needs to feel, punchy. It needs to feel impactful. And that's why I can't do it. I could probably overlook the exasperated breathing. It sounds like everybody's on the verge of having a very great time, and then I could probably get over that. But then I'm telling you, there's something with the combat. I'm like, I don't know. Get this man, Devil May Cry 5. Oh, you don't want to talk to me about Devil May Cry 5. I didn't like Devil May Cry 5. Everybody liked Devil May Cry 5, and it got tons of awards, and everybody praised it. I can't do the on-rails juggle simulator. I can't do it. It's just not for me. I didn't open my coffee. That was a total fake out. I love seeing the numbers. I like damage numbers. I like damage numbers too. Just like I like pizza, okay? I don't need 25 slices of pizza. I need 2, maybe 3 if I'm feeling lucky, right? Oh, this might hurt later, right? I don't need 25 slices of pizza. So I like seeing numbers, but I don't like seeing like numbers. It's just so much. What it ends up doing is, okay, for me, I'm not saying it's going to do this for you because you obviously like it. For me, what it does is it becomes unnecessary. It's like there's so many numbers that they might as well not even be there. There's so many. It's like why show me 999 18 times? It's just like flying off their body instead of just like one big number or a handful of bigger numbers or something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying for me, it hits a level of frivolity. I'm like, you don't need to show me that. There's so much. There is so much. Lono definitely wants to die on this hill. I'm not trying to die on any hill. I'm trying to explain why I don't enjoy these types of games. I just don't. It just doesn't hook me. Let me draw a comparison. So the first time I saw Borderlands 1 gameplay, and this guy pulled up a gun and went, and there was numbers popping off the character, I said, I must play this game. Why? I was coming from a Diablo background. So when you take that visual experience in a game like Final Fantasy XVI, if they do this, let's just say Final Fantasy XVI gameplay, they're like, yo, hit him in the eyeballs with numbers. And they take that dial and they turn it all the way up to 11. And I like take my sword and I go swing, swing, swing. And it's just like, it's like a piñata of numbers. It doesn't land on me. It's too much of a good thing. It's too much of a good thing. I get why you like it because I have I have a catalyst of understanding why you like it because I like it in games like Borderlands and Diablo. But my goodness, when it's like pouring out of them, like, you know when you like shoot a gun and those the bullet casings are just flying out. That's what it looks like. It's just like they're just pouring out of their body. I don't know. It ironically turns me off in light of all of the people in the game who are apparently very turned on. Do you dislike having to read that many numbers? Really, that's what it is, Zoob. That's what it is. My dislike of reading is provoked so much when that happens, you know. I kindly ask you to answer Fonzo's question. Everyone wants to know the answer. You're going to make me scroll up. Do you like stuffed crust pizza? Yeah. Do you know the best frozen pizza you can buy? I'm not allowed to have it because of my blood pressure and sodium. But I'm pausing so you can get a piece of paper and a pen because you're going to want to write this down, okay? So let me know when you're ready. I'm just kidding. The best frozen pizza that you can get is Motor City Pizza. It's deep dish, and they sell it at Costco. And I'm telling you right now, it is the best frozen pizza you can buy. You take the Pepsi challenge, okay? Take it. You're like, frozen pizza. Okay? If you're buying from any of the major chains, then shut the frick up, okay? Unless you're buying from a tried and true, like, local mom and pop pizza shop, then shut up about frozen pizza. You're buying garbage anyway. You might as well buy garbage that actually tastes exceptionally great, okay? Think of it this way. If you like Jets, just get yourself some Motor City. Just get yourself some Motor City right there. So, little plug, Motor City Pizza. You ever want to sponsor me? You're egg-free, so I can have you in my home. My daughter has an egg allergy. If you feel like sending me some pizza and putting me in the hospital, I'm just kidding. I could probably eat it. I choose not to. I'm sending my mother-in-law. She's a member. Homie, you will not regret it. I actually feel bad about this. I turned everybody on to the bagel, the breakfast sandwich at Chick-fil-A on the bagel. I said it's the best item, and everybody's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I had at least like 3 people come back, and they're like, you were right, bro. And then they discontinued the sandwich. It's awful. Did you just wake up and choose hyper? I didn't get enough sleep, so I'm in that early morning slap happy, and then the afternoon's going to hit, and I'm going to be like, ooh. What's a Pepsi challenge? You don't know that colloquialism? Take the Pepsi challenge. Like, what was that? There was a thing where they had you try other sodas and Pepsi or something. Wasn't that like a commercial series they ran for a while? Take the Pepsi challenge. Sorry, it's not red drink, Abe. You might not be familiar with the brand Pepsi. I'll make a reference you can understand. It's take the Tahitian treat challenge, okay? There. Oh my gosh. Listen, don't run to Twitter and try to cancel me, okay? Because what I just did is nothing, okay? It won't work. Commercials in the 80s. Abe wasn't around for the 80s. Anyway. They had an ad to try it if you drink Coke. It was seen as a failed campaign, if I remember correctly. Oh, okay. Take the Pepsi challenge, right. Final Fantasy XVI, sponsored by Pepsi. Nuka-Cola versus Coca-Cola. Old jokes on the menu now. Is Eugene just letting everybody know, like, what jokes can be made? Like, I saw you say something earlier about short jokes. Screamin' Sicilian is better than any chain store. Hey, no, Screamin' Sicilian's really good, and it is egg-free. That is actually really good frozen pizza. If you don't like deep dish, then get Screamin' Sicilian. Those are the 2 frozen pizzas that I think are well worth getting. Yeah. I agree with that one. They actually sponsored us a while back. We did something with them. What's wrong with Final Fantasy XVI? Okay, so Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details came out, and Yoshida, I guess people call him Yoshi P. Yoshida was explaining that it will be new. He thinks the new action gameplay is good for the series. So the gameplay in this game will actually be a little different than what you're accustomed to. And I was asking the fans this morning, I said, hey, Final Fantasy, fans out there, what's your favorite Final Fantasy? And it was 7, 8, 9, and 10 were constantly getting named. 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7, 8, 9, and 10. That was like the golden era for Final Fantasy. We had some outliers, but the general bell curve was like clustered around 7, 8, 9, and 10. Which is interesting because 7, 8, 9, and 10 was turn-based combat, and they've been on the non-turn-based system since like 13, is what I was told this morning. Okay, so if I'm saying something incorrect, it's chat's fault, not mine. So I was curious. I was like, okay, if those were the best, that's the last era of turn-based. Are you worried? So then we decided, okay, well, let's ask people which Final Fantasy VII they preferred, the original or the remake. Now, we don't have a ton of votes, I don't think, yet, do we? With 246. That's not bad. We like to see a little bit more, but, it's... A lot of people probably aren't taking the poll because they didn't play the dadgum game. There's a lot of people here that are like, I'm just not a Final Fantasy person. I'm not a Final Fantasy person. So when I read this interview, I got excited. I was like, okay, that actually sounds like a game that I would play. Now, we have other takeaways from interviews that he's done. Party members are there, but AI controlled, and they will rotate as the story progresses. So your party members are AI controlled. So you can't suddenly say, hey, so-and-so do this. That right there, have they been doing that? Is that a consistent combat decision they've been making? Does that bother you? What do you think about that, chat? Your party members are there, but they are AI controlled, and they will rotate as the story progresses. So it doesn't sound like you're in charge of who you got or what they do. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy guy, but that sounds pretty significant for people that like Final Fantasy. No party control is where some fans are getting hung up. I would think you'd be able to switch the characters, right? It says they will rotate as the story progresses. Now, I don't know if that means they will rotate availability, like here's the 4 available, take 2, or no, here's who's coming with you. I read it as it's dictated. I read it as you're going on this mission. Okay, these 2 people are coming with you. You don't have a choice in the matter. I don't want the game telling me who to use. Right. So Mass Effect didn't rotate people, right? You grew your available people to choose, and then every mission you choose whoever you want. Now, I think sometimes in Mass Effect, they would be like, no, this person must come, and then you could pick like the other 2 slots. So I don't know. That to me reads, I'd have to go read the quote in context and see how he framed it and how he phrased it, but that sounds to me like you're not getting to choose who comes with you. I read dictated, but I think you could probably decide who you're playing with. It's like Star Ocean. You control one party member, AI controls the other. Exactly, that's a good system, says Abe. Just like Kingdom Hearts, I'm fine with it. Remake the AI controlled, but you can take the option off, but it's always better than when directed. It probably means we can control their inputs like spells and attacks, but not control them. Okay, I don't know. It's not what it says. It's not what it says. These are takeaways on a subreddit of interviews that Yoshida has done, and the first bullet point is party members are there, but AI controlled. They will rotate as the story progresses. So I don't know if we can get a more substantive quote about that, but that's part of it. Can we get 200 likes on the video? We're about to be live for an hour. Let's hit 200 likes. We're actually having a pretty decent day for something I don't really cover all that often. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy, but I will probably be playing this game. Yeah, but you can seamlessly traverse from one character to another. Oh, can you? I hope they give you control over the companions like the 7 remake. Should watch Mr. Happy Loney. He goes into detail. I'm not pulling that video up right now. We vet videos before we react to them. We will not be reacting to the Digital Foundry video because I couldn't find anybody that uses their stuff, which probably means they're not very friendly to reaction content. Now, I could be wrong, okay? If any of you can find me proof that folks out there have successfully done reaction content to Digital Foundry, then I will do it. But I am not about to waste a couple hours of my life so somebody over there can push a button and take the video down. So we will not be reacting to the Digital Foundry Starfield video. I really wanted to. It changed my mind on some things. However, we will be reacting to Dreamcast Guy's video where he says Diablo Immortal is failing and losing money. So, if you're just tuning in for Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details, we got a list here of takeaways from Yoshida interviews. The primary thing we led with this morning for like the first hour of the show is that it's going to be a new action-style combat. Now, Greenside, one of our members here, said there's a Devil May Cry person who's their combat lead, so it's possible this game is far more like Devil May Cry. And maybe that's why Yoshida's saying what he's saying about the new action combat in the game, because he mentions the fact that there might be people who feel they're not good at action games, and there will be things in the game to help you, to give a helping hand was the phrase that he used. So, if you've never been here before, hit subscribe, hit the bell button, smash the like button. We'd love to hear from you in chat if you're brand new. I'm a safe for work broadcaster, so you can put me on in the background of your day. Another bullet point here. Some characters might be playable, but for small segments of the story. Okay, they might be playable, but for small segments of the story. It will not be open world, but feature a lot of areas. 4 large areas are especially large. I love that. That's so well written. 4 large areas are especially large. It's large. The game will feature a monster hunt system, side quests, hideouts, and such. The story is said to progress at the speed of a roller coaster. Cool. You can explore and take your time or beeline through the story. There will be a skill tree, as I understand it. We'll have one for each icon, or is that how you say that? Icon. And you can respec to find the build that you want. How big are the large areas? I mean, they're large. Summon fights will be varied. 3D shooter game, pro wrestling match, a battlefield. They will also, they're also fully playable. Fully playable. Final Fantasy XVI's themes will be around the clash of values and ideals and the bonds between people. You will have friends on your journey and have important conversations with them. They will fight alongside you. There's a buddy system where you can give them directions in battle, potentially your dog or wolf Torgal. Okay, so that right there, that's an indication that's not your party members. They're saying there's a buddy system and you can give them directions in battle, like your dog or your wolf Torgal. But it sounds as though your party members are just AI controlled. And it doesn't sound like you can pick who comes with you. So if you're tuning in for Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details, we're breaking it down right now, all of what we know. The game will... I can't highlight the text, by the way. This is an image, so... So I'm right here kind of in the middle of the... I'll move my mouse down as I get to different bullet points. The game will be complete at launch. No movies, but there is reading material in the game if you want to learn more. No movies? What's that mean? Like no cutscenes? Why does it say no movies? Do they literally mean no movies? Like, do the other games come around with movies? These are some of the most generic bullet points I've ever heard. It's an everything we know, Omar. So, yeah, they got hey, somebody ordered some coffee, a bag of light roast. First order to Hayden, ordering some Reforge roast. If you guys haven't seen it, look at the screen. You lurkers, you're going to want to see this. I show it sometimes and you miss it. So, eyes up. Anyway, there you go. That's what the new bags look like. Look at that. Look at the Reforge roast. Isn't that beautiful? A light and a dark roast. I think the bags look super classy with the relabeling that I've been doing. And light roast and dark roast. Same base flavor. If you're a coffee drinker and you've never tried coffee with balanced acidity, try our coffee out. It's very competitively priced on any other coffee you can order on the market, and you're going to get it way faster. Final Fantasy XV had a movie with tie-in stuff. Oh, okay. So that's not saying there's no cutscenes. I'm like, what on earth? A Final Fantasy game without cutscenes? Yoshi P says fans told him the series was becoming static or stale in their vision, which is why they want Final Fantasy XVI to be different. The Kingdom Hearts team helped with the combat and boss battles. All right, what's that gonna... Help me out here. You Kingdom Hearts guys. I love you, and I love that franchise from like a distance. I can't play it. But what do you think this is going to lead to? If Kingdom Hearts team helped with the combat and the boss battles, where do you see that taking the game? Because he's talking about it in an interview. We kicked off the show with his interview about the fact that it's going to have new action combat, and there might be people that say, oh, I'm not good at action games. Kingdom Hearts has the best action combat from Square Enix. Kingdom Hearts has some great boss fights, bro. So, okay, well, that's good to hear then. It's way too early to compare OG Final Fantasy VII to the remake. Remake Part 1 is only out. I'm not asking you to compare, homie. I'm just saying, which one do you prefer? Clearly, people have preferences, even when they've not seen everything yet. Like if they went back and remade some famous movie and they had only made the first one of the trilogy, you could still say which one do you prefer. You know, you got a new cast, you got new cinematography and a new director and a new writer, you know. Kingdom Hearts has some dadgum good combat. See, I see you, bro, sexy. I see you. I didn't play Kingdom Hearts. I feel like I missed out based on those statements. Okay, I couldn't play Kingdom Hearts because I just can't play as a Disney character. Oh, you weren't talking to me. Okay, Jet. I was like, man, oh man. I was like, the poll is just asking for preferences. I thought you were scolding me, you know, with a name like Jet T. I was like, I don't want to upset you. You sound like you would. Are you Jet Li's stunt double? You know, like, are you really good at martial arts? That might. I might have just said something. Is that offensive? It could be. In this day and age, anything could be. But Jet T, Jet Li, come on. Is your middle name Sweet? Jet Sweet T. Anyway, Jiminy Christmas, dig the hole deeper. Clive will fight icons in his human and icons forms. It seems to hint that we might control more than Ifrit, okay? There's 3 words in that sentence I don't understand. Valiste had a super technological civilization that collapsed 1,500 years ago. Think Final Fantasy XIV Oligons and Final Fantasy XII Invalus. Ruins will show up. Okay. You're offended for him? Oh, shut up, Abe. Like, this is America. No one cares if you're offended. Dominance transforming into icons. I said this is America, like the chat is America. so geocentric, you know? To be like, this is America, bro. This YouTube chat is America. People in Germany and England, you know, some Brit like spilled his tea. He was like, what? That's news to me. What's the devil? This is America. I'm gonna cause a. All right, we gotta move on. You're gonna get me in trouble. Clive will go through 3 stages of life: teenager, 20s, and 30s. Don't forget to buy our DLC, Midlife Crisis. That'll be landing later. Story mode with... I made that up. If you're not looking at the screen, that's not a thing. It just sounded funny that he'll go through 3 stages of life, teenager, 20s, and 30s. We're really excited about Season 10, the geriatric years. Clive will be senile and keep forgetting his car keys. Story mode with accessories to slow down time, auto combo, and other buffs. Action mode for action fans, but they can still use these accessories. However, the game will show that you use it in the UI. Oh, so story mode with accessories to slow down time, auto combo, and other buffs. Okay. You can't see some of the words behind me because this is an image, so I can't like. That's terrible. You'll just have to trust me on the read. 95% of the second trailer was real time. Hard difficulty mode after beating the game. It'll have a score system for beating stages, possibly like Devil May Cry, so that gives credence to Greenside's prediction since they have a Devil May Cry guy on the combat lead. Boss fights are specific levels into the game. I wager Final Fantasy XVI started with 4 people, including Heavensward, right? How do you say that? Heavensward, like upward? Yeah, I got it, Heavensward. And they worked on it until they decided on everything. Then they started full development. Yoshi P says he has to accept that Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 and base Final Fantasy 15 hurt the series' reputation. Says he saw people saying they won't even touch Final Fantasy XVI's trailer because Final Fantasy XV was bad. He wants to make something different and amazing to show Final Fantasy can be many things and guarantee the future of Final Fantasy to aim for new directions. So if you're just tuning in, we're taking a look at Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details, and there's going to be a heavier focus on action, a more seamless style of play. It does sound like your party members will be AI controlled and they will rotate. So it seems they are simplifying. This could be a turnoff for some people. They are simplifying some of the aspects of the game. I know that the game hasn't been turn-based since 13, but it sounds like they're continuing to delve deeper and further along into the action-style combat, and potentially not being able to control or choose your party members may be a turnoff for long-standing fans of the franchise. We asked this morning what everyone's favorite Final Fantasy was, and 7, 8, 9, and 10 were the ones I saw the most. It kind of clustered around that grouping, and then I sort of was curious about the fact that those are the ones with turn-based combat. Turn-based combat was left behind around 13, and that doesn't seem to be the problem. Everybody seemingly was in agreement that the problem with Final Fantasy after 10 and some of the worst offenders like 15, it was the story. People said that the story was bad. It was not the change up in combat. It wasn't that, there's no turn-based. Because Final Fantasy XVI turn-based is not a thing. It will be an action game. Everyone said story is the most important, which I actually don't think that's that surprising. I don't. I think most Japanese-developed games seem to have a heavier focus on story, lore, background, things of that nature. And that could be there could be a handful of things that go into that. That could be a philosophical thing. That could be an upbringing thing. It could be a cultural thing. Western folks tend to be shorter attention spans, which it's weird because mobile games are huge in the Asian market. So I don't necessarily think we can just say, well, Asian culture has stronger or longer attention spans, but they could have different philosophies around art and storytelling that leads to some of that. But the emphasis on story wasn't surprising to me, given that these are not Western-developed games. Because Western-developed games, I think, more often have the sort of throwaway stories or the chintzy stories. The deeper, more meaningful stories and the people that latch on, that does seem to be something that orbits around Japanese-developed games. 12 is definitely great. One of my favorites, says Distorted. As much as the story was epic, says Proto, I always loved the grind and the endgame fights. They had to be thought out, or you would never kill some of the ultimate weapons. Technically, 12 had 3 main characters, and I'm counting Vaughn. 12 has some of my most favorite art direction, literally Star Wars with a Final Fantasy edge. So now people are kind of coming to the defense of 12. 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it looks like 7 to 12 with a sharper cluster maybe around 7, 8, 9, and 10. But 7 to 12 seems to be... And that's so interesting. Is it true that they abandoned turn-based in 13? Is that when they started doing that? That's so funny that you guys are literally walking the game all the way up to the point that they got rid of turn-based. Right? Is 13 when they first did that? If we can get confirmation of that, I'm interested in this thought experiment for a second. 12 was pretty awesome. 12 just had lame protagonists. 6 through 12, 6 is literally the best story. Hope, who was hopeless. I like 15. Vaughn was a doofus. 12 was good. 11 sucked. I hated 8. 7 was great. 9 was pretty good. I loved 10. 13 is still turn-based. 13 was the hybrid. 15 was the first. Got it. So 15 was the first to completely ditch it. Turn-based left after 10. People are saying that 13 was the hybrid and then 15 was when they completely ditched it. 12 was hated when it came out. But for me, it was a top 3 Final Fantasy game of all time. 6 clearly is the best story. I lost interest at 8. So, when the thing with Final Fantasy, to me, that I start to get confused on is that it feels like, when I've seen trailers and gameplay, it's kind of like when a game company sells the rights to make their games to so many different developers, like the Warhammer games. So you'll see Warhammer in the title. You have no idea what kind of game you're about to look at. You don't know. RTS, XCOM, over the shoulder, dungeon crawler. You just don't know, because they have all these different Warhammer games. From a distance, I'm not saying this is true of Final Fantasy, but from a distance, I've always felt that about Final Fantasy. Every time I see the trailers, I'm like, it feels like somebody else made this game. It feels like they're always changing it. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it does seem as though that you've always got this brand new cast of characters. I don't necessarily understand how they're all connected. And again, this is because I'm observing from a distance. I think that makes it a challenge sometimes to understand what in the world's going on, And, I think one of the reasons sometimes people avoid games like Final Fantasy is they feel like, well, I've not played the last 14. How on earth am I going to know what I'm doing? Final Fantasy XV, while the story towards the middle was meh, it was probably my most favorite character party members besides 7, 8, 9, and 10. I did like the boy band vibe. I thought they were cool, I don't know. Bunch of studs running around in the desert killing stuff, Periodically they probably had to stop and put suntan lotion on each other, and I'm taking it in a weird place, but that's just what I thought they might do. I mean, that was one of the reasons I got the game. That's not why I got it. I was a little disappointed, though. That wasn't what we were doing. I mean, it's out there and it's hot, man. It's kind of a dust bowl, They're not connected. Every episode's standalone. Also, they're all JRPGs. You hated the boy band road trip vibe? It's sold on all platforms now, yet the older games sold more on PS alone. The Gambit system introduced in 12 completely changed the series, says Graydon, letting you switch between characters on the fly, but programming actions to let combat remain truly real-time was genius. So you're saying they introduced a pretty good step in the combat system in 12. Insomniac Black with a $5 tip through Super Chat. Do you need to be alone for a moment? No, I'm good. Sorry about that. I kind of blacked out there. Bless, I'm still making my way through 8 right now. I'm really liking it. My opinion, says Corey, Final Fantasy VII Remake is the absolute perfection of turn-based and action combat. That combat system is what every game after 10 was trying to accomplish. Corey, a lot of people this morning have speculated that Final Fantasy XVI will very much mirror the combat action systems of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because I read through an interview this morning about the Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details in this interview. It was very clear to me that they're taking it in a different direction. Hitman here started with the original ones in 87. I loved all of them up to Final Fantasy X, even though it deviated a little from the formula. I love turn-based combat. Yeah, and this one, in the interview, Yoshida was like, well, there might be people that think that they're bad at action games, and we're going to have things in the game to offer a helping hand. So in their mind, this is such a sharp deviation in style that there might be people that think they won't be good at the game. That's why I think, I don't know, I lean towards Greenside's prediction that this game is going to be heavily influenced by Devil May Cry. Because I can't think of action games where you would be like, I'm not very good at them, but I can think of people saying that about Devil May Cry. If you don't like turn-based, then the story mode should work for you. 7 Remake built on what 15 did with the combat, says Graydon, and 16 will hopefully carry that on. They have a Devil May Cry 5 dev working on it. Yeah, Greenside brought that up. He said their combat lead... That's what he said. I didn't fact check this, but he said their combat lead was a Devil May Cry guy. I think it's fair to say that Square is not going to bring that combat back to turn-based. Oh, no. The interview was clear on that. It's action. It's going to be action-based, 100%. Now, this is a teeny feather in my cap because they've been doing this for a while. So I didn't make this prediction about Final Fantasy, but I did tell you guys after New World, in between New World's launch and when we started watching Ashes of Creation, I said it will not surprise me if more and more games move away from tabbed MMO combat and turn-based combat. Will not surprise me at all if you see more and more people going the route of action-style combat, because one of the reasons that turn-based and tabbed combat existed, this isn't the only reason, but one of the reasons was just technological limitations. You couldn't have seamless moment-to-moment combat in these games. It would not have worked. The whole idea was we can give you a significant amount of depth and control over combat flow, but we have to stop and slow everything down in order to do that. Well, now you can play a game like Ghost of Tsushima and you're parrying, switching stance, parrying, blocking, doing some crazy combo move. You're switching on the fly from all these various things, and that means a game like this, they can do the same thing. So I think more and more you're going to see games abandon turn-based and the more classic MMO combat styles. Now, that doesn't mean that turn-based will go away. I still think there's going to be turn-based games that come out. I mean, just look at the indie titles announced. And turn-based deck builders and auto chess games and stuff like this and XCOM-style games, I don't think they'll ever go away because people like them. They feel almost... They feel like board games, right? And they're more approachable by people that might be, getting up there in years, and they've developed a palate for the slower style and the more methodical planning. As we joked the other day, you can't really age out of something that just requires skill and strategy and planning. You can't really age out of that like you would a quick twitch shooter, right? I disagree with that, Lono, about the turn-based combat. I felt it was mimicking more of a pen and paper type RPG game because real-time combat existed. Right, but Ben, if they wanted to give you the level of pen and paper RPG in a video game, it was going to be very, very difficult to do that in moment to moment. It just wasn't going to work back then. I didn't say it was the only reason. I just think part of the reason was technological limitations. 10 months from Rad. How are you, Rad? I hope you and that little bebe are doing great. I hope I get a picture today. I do. My little niece has a little brother on the way. It's all been officially announced, so I can say something about it. I'm so excited. They have my wife's twin sisters, same order, little girl and a little boy. I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh. So their little girl is so cute. It's painful to look at pictures. It's like, oh, you ever look at a picture of a baby and you're like, what on earth? That's the most beautiful, most photogenic, cutest thing in the world, It's like when you look at pictures of puppies, Doing well. Lonard's 3 months now. No idea where time is going or what time it is. Yeah, well, Radical, it's June 23rd in 2022, the year of our Lord, 10:32 AM Eastern. So, if that orients you to anything, it's Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday. Done tummy time yet today? I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know what ages they do any of that stuff. I only know it's June because my birthday was Saturday. Well, happy birthday. You're a big girl now. You're all grown up. You got a baby and you just turned 27 for the... I don't know how old you are. There have been interviews with the makers of early Final Fantasy, but they 32. You're an old lady now. I'm just kidding. I turned 40 last year, so almost have a decade on you, young pup. If I had to guess, the only Final Fantasy games that will be turn-based moving forward will be mobile Switch titles or side offshoot games. Oh, okay. 15-month milestone for my man Victor, and he's doing a gaming tier 2. I always liked turn-based because I grew up on the originals like Dragon Warrior 1 through 3, Mystic Quest, etc. D&D was a big influence on my gaming. Yeah, I didn't play any of those games, Victor. It's so funny. It's so funny how many games there are. Like, you feel like, I feel like as a gamer, I played so many of the games that have come out over the years, and I barely scratched the dadgum surface. You know what I mean? Radical's back. Lono must be playing a game later he needs to be carried in. What the frick does that mean? No, she comes back periodically. She'll send me a picture of her cute little bebe, and, you know, we platonically joke with and flirt with each other. It's all platonic, right? Because we're almost like siblings in some ways with all of our commonalities. And her dad is hilarious. I want to have him as a podcast guest one day. I totally do. There's a whole genre I've never dabbled in. Oh yeah, I mean there's entire genres of games I've just never touched. I'm like, no thanks, you know? Or I've played them like once. You like play it like one time, you know what I mean? It's like sports games. Like, I had never played an MLB game. I'd never done it. And then my wife and I played Home Run Derby. You know what I mean? The new one, I think Lono looks like it's returning more to its roots story-wise, and that's exciting. Well, the story, I mean, yes, the Final Fantasy XVI story looks insane and legendary. The trailer was bonkers. I just remember seeing a big dragon. Like, that's all I need, you know? I mean, Cow Bar Simulator Tycoon series, those are very nice. Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember when Creature told me, he was like, I wish I could get you into sim games. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere and they're super popular. And then I started using that database tool to check out like all the games coming out, and like every day there's at least one sim game coming out and one like X-rated waifu game coming out. It's like, if you want to get into game development, man, there's money to be made there. Make a sim game or a waifu game and then just, you know, retire and buy an island or something. Steam summer sales today, is it? Wheezy says, Final Fantasy series is pretty much never returning to turn-based. That ship sailed since Final Fantasy XII. You made it, bro. You made it. Yeah. Abe understood one of your jokes. You did. You made it. Did Lono ever play PC Builder Sim? Because he could. Because he should. We saw that trailer during the one showcase, didn't we? Were you here that day? Farming Simulator. Is GOAT? Yeah, I mean, there's Farm Sim, there's all kinds of games like that. I can't play them for very long, right? We were doing something with Lawnmower Simulator. We still might do it, but like, I just don't know. I start falling asleep. It's highly unlikely, but I doubt it's out of the question. Oh, never say never on the turn-based thing? What do you guys think? Do you think they'll ever bring back turn-based combat to Final Fantasy? I just don't think so. Goat Simulator 2, that's right. Construction Sim is coming. Yeah. Remember when I played Gas Station Simulator? That was fun. Literally just run on a dadgum gas station. Someone a long time ago requested a remake of Final Fantasy VII, and here we are. So, turn-based can come back. Video sponsor proposal. Unfortunately, I've not heard back from you. I am following up. I strongly believe we can work out a paid sponsorship. Well, what's your game? If you haven't heard about proxy services before, we help our users change IP addresses. I ain't promoting no proxy server service. Getting frick out of my inbox. No. Turn-based combat is literally an option in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, so it's not completely gone. A remake of Final Fantasy VII isn't the same as evolving in reverse. I agree with Wheeze. I don't think it's ever coming back. Now, I'll say this. I'm gonna make a caveat, Wheeze, because you're being bold, and I love a bold prediction. I do. I love a bold prediction. But I'm gonna leave a caveat. I could see. Oh, big stretch. I could see getting beyond Final Fantasy XVI and being like, let's give people the option if they want it. Like, I could see them doing that. I could see them building that in. Now, that's a lot of dev time for people that might have just gotten over it and adapted. Do you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of dev time to create and bake in a hybrid. That's tons of resources. So I don't know. That would be my only caveat, is they may decide one day to say, hey, we figured out a really great and seamless dev way to give people the option to do turn-based if they want. Yeah, real time with pause. Right. I think the biggest dilemma with that would be, would the execution feel just totally stupid? I love a bold cup of coffee like this delicious dark roast. Buy some Reforge Roast today. Reforge Roast. Put a sticker on my mug and everything. I think turn-based could come back depending on the game. Mainline games are less likely than a spin-off. Yeah, that's true. Like, a Dragon isn't the best-selling Yakuza game. Yakuza 0 is. Yakuza? I hardly know her. What are you accusing her of? Wheezy, come back. Wheezy, come back. Don't leave. Oh, I am not sorry. That was good. I doubt Final Fantasy will bring it back, but it doesn't change that it's a stupid move. In my opinion, turn-based has a huge fan base. It just doesn't seem like it would be hard to have it as an option. OMG, you really didn't sleep last night. Well, here's the thing, though, Ben. Am I supposed to call you Ben or Hitman? That's weird. It feels so awkward to call you that. You're Hitman. I can tell by your avatar you're Hitman. Here's the thing about that. I'm curious how many people are so diehard turn-based fans that they can't. There's no bridge for them to enjoy an action version of Final Fantasy. Does that make sense? Count how many people are in that category. So get everybody together that likes turn-based, okay? And then say, okay, have you played any of the Final Fantasies where we've gone with a more action style? And they're like, yeah, okay. So everybody here has. Okay, cool. We got 1,000 people who love turn-based. All right, great. Now, leave the room if you enjoyed the action style and would play another Final Fantasy that is action style. Like, is the action style such a barrier that you wouldn't play? If it's a barrier and you would not play, then stay seated. But everybody else, just leave the room. If you can play and enjoy action style combat, if you've played it, if you would buy a Final Fantasy, then we need you to leave the room. I don't think very many people would be left in the room. I just don't think there would be very many people. So I can't see a developer saying, oh, we really, really need to make sure we build a turn-based option or a turn-based version. I think the number of people that like it so much that can't enjoy and would not buy an action-style Final Fantasy game, I don't think there's enough of them. Do you know what else? I think there's a ton of people like me that would say, hey, I can't stand turn-based. I'm going to buy your game because it's not turn-based. There's tons of people like me, non-Final Fantasy diehards, just sort of fair-weather Final Fantasy fans. We'll check it out. We'll play it. Maybe we'll play it to completion. Maybe we won't. There's probably tons of people like me that are going to buy it because it's not turn-based. We probably outweigh the number of people that are going to be like, if it's not turn-based, I'm not buying it. So that's why I think you'll probably never get your way. It's just a pure economic decision at that point. There's not enough people to substantiate the work. Wheezy says, this is somebody speaking as somebody who enjoys turn-based. It's okay for the series to change. Yeah. I bet you there's way more people like Wheezy that are like, this is fine. This is totally fine. And there's way more of them than there are people that are going to say, absolutely not. I'm not buying it because it's action. So Lono's part of the problem. Homie, I'm at the center of every problem. If a gun gets nerfed, if a game gets changed, if you feel uncomfortable now, not then, but now, 2 years later, I'm the center of all problems. Yeah. It's not even the turn-based versus the action. It's how middling the action gameplay was, says Omar. If the action system was better, then I'd be more interested. I want to see what they mean, Omar, because in the interview, when he's talking Final Fantasy XVI gameplay, that's what he's talking about, and he says it's quote unquote. Let me read the quote here. He thinks the new action gameplay is good for the entire series. They're referring to it as new action gameplay. And he says it's impossible to put together what every single fan wants in a single Final Fantasy game. A completely new generation of gamers means that Square Enix is looking to combine classic feeling setting with, quote, real-time action that's more reminiscent of modern games. So that, you see what I'm saying? They want their action gameplay to feel way more reminiscent of modern games. So probably even more than they've done already in the previous games. It will open up other companies to give turn-based a shot. Lost Odyssey on the 360 was a great game. He can't go back to purely turn-based. No, you couldn't go back to purely turn-based. Like I said, I gave a caveat and said I could see them doing an option. Like, hey, all you people that love turn-based, we'll give you the choice if you want to pause the action or whatever the frick. But again, depending on the dev time required to do that, they might say it's not worth it. Hitman says, I just think we've gotten to where having a few ways to play a game is viable, like Dragon Quest can be more real-time or turn-based, and people eat it up. Oh, you meant Dragon Age. That's okay. The thing about turn-based that I like is that it allows for far more complexity in the mechanics and the systems. You can't process many systems in real time. It has to be streamlined. Right, and I think that's where you'll still see it hanging out, Zubair. It'll hang out in like an XCOM style game or a game with combat systems that simply wouldn't work in fluid combat. It just wouldn't work. You're not a robot. You wouldn't be able to keep it all straight. They're going to stick with it. Final Fantasy 15 was pretty bad and poorly received. It's the second best-selling Final Fantasy game of all time. Square Enix Bravely Default Series RPG will remain turn-based. They will likely have story mode difficulty settings for the non-action skilled players. Yeah, it says action mode is for action fans, but they can still use accessories. However, the game will show you that you've used it in the UI. Now, story mode with accessories to slow down time, auto combo, and other buffs. So yeah, it's already been confirmed in interviews with Yoshida that there will be a story mode and an action mode, yes. Dragon Age Origins was the best game. Yeah, they got a tall order for the next one, because people feel like, people probably feel like they've been waiting for a really, really long time, They probably feel like they've been waiting for a really long time. They're like, man, come on, dude, where's this game? Where's this game at? All right. We've had a great day today, so let's keep it going. I am curious what you guys think, so take that poll at the top of the chat if you just got in. Which Final Fantasy VII version do you prefer? And feel free to let us in chat why you prefer it. The debate today has centered around a handful of things. We've had people that don't like the turn-based, don't like the action. We have people that don't like the story after. Like 7 through 12 seem to be the most popular. 7 through 10 seem to be the real cluster. 7, 8, 9, and 10, and people choosing their favorites for a variety of reasons. And the turn-based evolution, it kind of evolved out of the game. We've been kind of debating just recently, if you just got here, we've been kind of debating whether or not that could ever return, whether or not you'd ever see that be a facet of a Final Fantasy game. And many people think there's just no way. I'm leaving it open to possibly, a version where you could choose between the two. And you could say, hey, I actually like turn-based. I'm going to turn this on. It would have to be something that they could substantiate through the demand of the consumer, as well as just can we afford the bandwidth? Can we afford the bandwidth? Is this something that we can do? Is this something that we can justify? I was scheduling our next stream. We'll go to that stream in about 40 minutes. In about 40 minutes, we'll be switching to the Plague Tale Requiem live stream. They're going to be doing some extended gameplay. Anyone remember Vagrant's story with the battle sphere? It was basically active combat that paused when you deploy the sphere to target specific body parts, similar to Dragon Age's tactical camera. I actually never played that. I remember in Dragon Age not enjoying the tactical aspects because I'm not a turn-based guy, so I don't think I used it that much in that game either. Dragon's Dogma actually feels very close to 7 and 15, says Jet. I would rather the free-flowing movement on the ground feel closer to 15, while the actual attacks feel like the 7 remake. Now you have Final Fantasy 16 with Naoki Yoshida Yoshi P leading it, who's beloved because Final Fantasy XIV, and some people know that you guys have helped Devil May Cry's Yeah. So, Wheezy, somebody brought up Devil May Cry this morning. It was Greenside as well as then Paul. Apparently the combat lead's a Devil May Cry guy. So, when Yoshida says that he thinks there might be people... And Kingdom Hearts, that's right. There are Kingdom Hearts. It said here they had Kingdom Hearts team helped with the combat as well as the boss battles. So there's going to be influence from Kingdom Hearts as well as influence from Devil May Cry. And Yoshida said in this interview that he was, worried, or maybe he thinks people might be worried that like, oh, I won't be good at the game. I'm not good at action games. I actually think that means there'll be a significant influence from Devil May Cry because... why else would you frame it in that way? I can't imagine looking at a Kingdom Hearts game or any action game and being like, oh, I'm not good at action games, I'm not going to get that game. That doesn't feel like those kind of games. Like, those kind of games don't feel like games where somebody would be turned off and, like, worried that they're not going to be good. You know what I mean? But Devil May Cry, I could definitely see that being an aspect of why somebody might... be somewhat turned off and stay away because they would say, no, those games are challenging or combo based or whatever. Make sure you're on live chat, says Zubair. Yeah, guys, make sure you've done all the things. Make sure you're on live chat. Click the like button. We only need 40 more likes for 300 likes. Solid turnout. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, be sure to do that. You can subscribe in confidence. I cover all kinds of gaming topics and gaming news, and I am safe for work. A lot of people just tune in every day and throw me on in the background like a video game podcast. And why do we keep overlooking DD? It does start slow, but the combat pawn system, they're amazing. Oh, Dragon's Dogma. It has fast travel now. Dragon's Dogma was really made by the guy who leads the Devil May Cry series, says Wheezy. Most games don't aim to be that kind of action-adventure. Dragon's Dogma is pretty much an action game wrapped in an RPG. I hit your like button as soon as I came in. Thank you, anybody who did that. If you get in and you hit that like button, consider becoming a member. There is a members AMA today. I've got very important information for members I think you guys are going to love what we're getting ready to do. It is going to affect what we do with Reforge Radio, but again, I think you guys are going to like it. It's going to be better for all of us. We're in a much better position than we were in the past, and we finally, I think we realized it, at least I realized it yesterday, it's like, oh wow, we're finally where we want to be, and we need to make a change so we don't set ourselves back in 6 months. And so make sure you're there for the AMA. If you're not a member, click $5. Click the join button, it's $5, and you'll get into the members AMA. You'll get into all the old members-only content, like my wife and I playing through The Quarry, and then Friday night is... Community Game Night. That's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's Fall Guys. It's going to be a blast. It is members only. So consider becoming a member for $5 a month, or you could gift some members, and that gives members to the more loyal viewers in chat that don't have those yet. If you're here every day, just remember to opt in when that happens. Ignoring all the kiddish art style and the Disney characters, Kingdom Hearts has great combat, especially air combat. Boss fights were well structured. You know what's funny, Abe? If they released a mod for Kingdom Hearts that just turned everybody into like generic RPG characters, I would probably play it. But I just can't get into a game where I'm playing as like Mickey Mouse and Goofy and stuff. I just can't do it, And that's not me being like, I'm not slamming it or being rude. I just mentally, I can't do it. I can't get there, It's like, let's go. And then you're like going to run and take down a boss or something. I just can't do it. My brain can't do it. It's just an immediate, It's kind of like the visuals in JRPGs. I know why they do it. It's not that it's bad. It's that my brain shuts down. It's like, ugh. It just immediately gets turned off. Itsuno is the Devil May Cry guy, and Dragon's Dogma was a game he wanted to make, so he's essentially took his team to make it. You play as different non-Disney character, but you do fight alongside the Disney characters. Oh, so that's right. That's right. Your team. That's right. You're not playing as Mickey Mouse, but you play and he's like with you. Don't you dare talk about Mickey Mouse like that. It's goofing time. Yeah. My issue with most of the modern Final Fantasies is that they haven't picked a lane. It just ends up meh on both ends of the combat. At least Dragon's Dogma knew what it wanted to be. I totally get it. I got into it when I was younger and I didn't mind it, but I wouldn't be able to get into it now at 29. Yeah. And I've got some years on you, young man. You know, I've got 11 years on you. I can't do it. Yo, an 8-month milestone. Toasty jumping back in as a member. Thank you for doing that, Toasty. Welcome back to Reforge Gaming. Appreciate that. Tell me you don't know Kingdom Hearts without telling me you don't know Kingdom Hearts. I just see the trailers, and I see people playing and running around with Disney characters. Whether or not you're controlling them, I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? When you do play as Mickey, you feel like you're Yoda fighting Dooku. Yeah, imagine Kingdom Hearts with all Star Wars characters. I'd be freaking in there, bro. I'd be in there. I'd be a full-time Kingdom Hearts streamer. I would totally do it. I would. We've had one coffee order today, guys. Who wants to be the next? Make sure and get those coffee orders in. We appreciate you guys supporting Reforge Roast as well as becoming members, ongoing members, getting in the Discord, all those things. Thank you, everybody who has done that. Thank you, everybody who has smashed that like button today. We only need 25 more for 300. Help us hit that like milestone. It does help out this video, especially when we're not live. You can always come back and watch the VODs if you ever miss a live show. I put all the info right at the beginning of the stream to make it really easy for you to consume that if you're busy throughout the day and can't catch the entire stream. No Man's Sky for Nintendo has updated timeline. There will be a physical and digital release also. Oh, that's actually happening. Can't crap on Dogma. At least you're not chopping at bosses' feet all the time like most games. The story could be improved, and there's always room to improve, but the game had its greatness. No Man's Sky is coming to Switch. I don't know. He just put that in the chat. I've not seen anything about that, but it doesn't surprise me. That game seems like they could optimize it for the Switch. You just turn everything down. Because all the textures and lighting and stuff is stuff they've added. You just take all that out. You know what I'm saying? You just take that out of the game. You don't need the trees and the bushes and the grass to look super detailed. Draw distance could be toned down. You know, I think flying in and out of the planets would probably be the worst. There's a trailer for it. There you go. That's good for No Man's Sky if it performs well, right? If it runs like crap, it's not going to be very good for them. Yo, Danzatastic just gifted 5 members. Guys, click allow gifts in the chat. You will get a gifted member. Oh, they're already gone. Kevin, Starko, Jaden, Sound Turnip, and They See Me Rolling. I'm pretty sure you covered it. Was it during one of the showcases? It might have been during a showcase. You playing Fall Guys got me hyped up. I keep playing it. Even my friend texted me. He was like, I need you to win more when you play Fall Guys. I was like, excuse me? I was like, I got a hat trick. I won 3 times in one stream. That's not enough. It was fun. We had a fun time. My son's looking forward to getting it on his Switch. Nice. I really am terrified, though. Fall Guys has not tweeted about turning back on. Have they tweeted about turning back on private servers yet? Private matches? Check out the Ball Guys bundle in the store. Fancy extension on purple for collect them all. We just made some changes to the lineup. Oh, content update. Hang on, they have a thread. The Play a Team Game challenge in the current event was causing a problem, so we've replaced it with Reach Round 3. We have re-enabled custom lobbies. They re-enabled custom lobbies, but with a few changes. You must now have a minimum of 30 players to start a lobby. Playlists that have a maximum player count of less than 30 have been removed. We hope to see improved with time. Okay, they re-enabled it. Woo, I was so worried about tomorrow night. I was like, holy frick. Okay, so listen to me, you fricks. Listen very closely. We need at least 30 people, minimum. Okay? We have almost 1,700 members. If I don't have enough people to do private lobbies tomorrow, I will be the most butthurt you've ever seen. I'll be furious. I will be actually furious. All right? We've been pumping this up for weeks. Okay? Weeks. So y'all better be here. Y'all better be here. All right? He'll pout all weekend, my wife says. I will definitely pout for at least an evening. We have 1,682 members. We are 18 members away from 1,700. Listen, the stretch goal, if we hit 2,000 members, which we might be able to, it's going to have to be really crazy the next couple of days. If we hit 2,000 members, my wife and I will do a watch party of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. You would need a Disney Plus subscription to use the Chrome extension to do the watch along, so I can control when it starts and stops and pauses and all of that. And we would stream members only. You wouldn't be able to hear or see the movie. You'd have to be watching it and have us kind of like next to you on a phone or something, so you can hear us talking. Okay? So, if you guys go crazy with gifted members and new members and we hit 2,000, that's the big reward. Every Friday night I stream with my wife. It's members only. And once a month we do community game night. So, the big stretch goal was, the first goal was 1,000, and then it was 1,500. It was 1,000 to get my wife to play Elden Ring with a cam on. Then it was 1,500 to make me eat a steak with ketchup. I did that. It was horrendously terrible. And then 2,000, you can listen to my wife and I debate about Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, because she likes it and loves Qui-Gon and likes Jar Jar, and I hate every second of the movie. It will be wonderful content. So, wonderful content. Every Friday night except this one. I told you could come and hang out, babe. I said you could come and be a part of community game night. I'll even let you play. I'll put you on the sticks. You can play as the bean. So then I'm just shoutcasting. So don't act like I didn't say that. People would love to watch you never win at Fall Guys. She's typing in the Discord, by the way. So those of you in YouTube chat are like, does he have an imaginary wife? No, she's quite real, and you can tune in. Oh, fun! I could sit next to you while you're shouting into my ear. I'm imaginary, she says. If you were imaginary, you wouldn't be able to say that you're imaginary, because that would break the imagination of the imaginarian of the thing. I can talk good. So, yeah. Y'all better be here. Listen, YouTube doesn't put members-only content in front of you either, okay? You're really, really, really going to need to be in the Discord, follow me on Twitter, or just come and check the channel, okay? If you just open up YouTube and you're like, I don't see him, shucks. You need to go to your subscription feed or my channel. Members-only content, won't hit your homepage, which is stupid. Because if you're a paying member and I'm doing anything members only, it should be the first thing you see when you come to the platform, but whatever. Lono has a wife. Sorry, kitty. You're eating dry food this week. Chat needs Lono to drink ketchup. That's right. I heard rumors from the interwebs that Madam Crumpet account is in fact a bot account controlled by Lono. I don't see it in subscription feed. I have to come to Reforge Gaming. Yeah, on the last week, Barrier said it was in his sub feed. He said it was in his sub feed, but it doesn't go to everybody's sub feed. You literally have to come to my channel. It's a great reason to be in the Discord. Discord.gg/ReforgeTV, or follow me on Twitter @ReforgeTV. We should probably start promoting the Reforge TV Twitter account since, I actually use it, and, we don't have our verification badge anymore, but it's still a platform where we can tweet and say things on and say, hey, hi, and here's my stream. Really in-depth and thoughtful things like that. Do. Hang on. Okay. Wait, what? Has anyone actually seen this Madam character? She literally streamed with me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay. You can see her in the stream. So get in Discord? That's right. It doesn't even show on the channel for me. I have to use the noti. That never makes any sense to me, Creature. I make it the featured video and I drag the members only playlist to the top. That's just so weird that it's that way. It's so weird that you can't even see it on the channel. It's so bizarre. No Man's Sky is coming to Nintendo. Oh, that's from February. Oh, yeah. We probably covered it during one of the pressers. I don't remember covering that. The Great Steak Disgrace was a push notification for me. Yeah, because that's a community... That's like a community members only post. So, whenever I do a community post and it's members only, that should give you a little ping or like a little chingering. But if you don't have the app open or the website open, it might not unless you have all that stuff turned on, right? The man streamed on a weekend. I got a life. You can use the steak command if you want to go watch the VOD of the pain of me eating, a steak with ketchup. Lono's wife is real. Lono's wife is real. You just don't know her. She goes to a different school. Yeah, she goes to a different school. Yeah, you've not heard of it though. You've not heard of it. It's it's on the other side of town. Can you rename that video "The Great Steak Disgrace"? No. That's funny, but I'm not gonna name it that. Lono loved it. Don't let him fool you. Oh no, it was so bad. I was so glad that she had me all at steak on reserve for Father's Day, cause it was very bad. It was very bad. All you tasted was ketchup. Like, I couldn't taste the steak. It's like, why do you put ketchup on a steak? You don't put ketchup on a steak because you like steak. You put ketchup on a steak because you like ketchup. Because that's all you taste. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, a new title announced on Steam. Prison King inspired by Thief and Shawshank Redemption. Teaser trailer. It actually looks pretty cool. But, it's going to be coming out in 2023. Cool. Guys, we're going to be switching gears here in a moment to watch the Plague Tale Requiem stream. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to hit some ads and take a brief break. We only need 4 more likes for 300 likes. Give me 300 likes. Let's get some more members and coffee orders going if you can. If you cannot do that, that's totally fine. But we want to see you here tomorrow night for the Fall Guys stream. It's going to be amazing. Members only. There is a members only AMA today as well. So get those memberships up and running. Make sure yours is active. I'm going to hit some ads. We almost never hit ads on the channel. I only do it when I step away. That's why we push the coffee and the memberships, because live streams don't run ads, right? We have to do other means of getting the business going. And we have been amazingly supported this month by gifted memberships and coffee orders. So thank you everybody who has done that. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Oh. Okay. The only thing ketchup is good for is to make fry sauce. Frosty goes in fries. Somebody left a comment on the steak stream with the ketchup, and they said ketchup is good. The only thing ketchup is good on is meatloaf, and I was like, I actually agree with that. I do. For whatever reason, it works with meatloaf. Like, you still taste the meatloaf. You know, CGI has come a long way. Was there really someone there with you playing these games, or just figments of your imagination in CGI? Come on, Lono. We members do want an answer. On a serious note, the way Madam picks on Lono kind of reminds me of me and how my wife and I act. All fun and love. Oh, yeah. We've, like, you know, I'll get a little mushy. We've hit, like, a really cool stride. You know what I mean? We passed the 2-year anniversary of all the crap, and it's like, it's just nice to be able to focus on all the good things. And, you know, there's just a lot of mirth and laughter in the home, and we've been playing through It Takes Two in the evenings, and I don't know. It's just nice for things to be nice, you know? It took a long time. It took a long time to be able to say that, you know? You need to step out. You just need to step out the mustard and ketchup? Huh? Since tomatoes are fruit, ketchup is just a smoothie. Ugh. Oh my. The best thing on eggs is Lowry salt. When I make my burgers, like my homemade patties, I substitute if it says put this much salt in the burger, I substitute that salt with Lowry salt. Now, recently I didn't do that because I felt like they were so salty. I was like, I'm supposed to watch my salt. So I actually will put a little bit of Lowry's on the burgers when I grill them now, instead of putting, you know, it in the actual recipe. So you'll still get that flavor, but, you know, I wanted to lower the salt count in the patties. It's like, it's just too much. Speaking of that, we got friends coming over, and I think, did he ask me to pick a time? No, okay, no. Okay. Plague Tale was dope. You and Madam would probably like it on Friday nights. It's creepy, gross, and the story was pretty good. I liked Plague Tale, and then I got soft locked on a mission and had to replay the whole thing, and I never went back. Because it got to the point where it was like super telling me what to do, and I got annoyed. You know, I kind of got annoyed. I get what they were doing, and I wasn't like angry about it, but I found it to be annoying. I've already gone to the Plague Tale stream. Let's see here. Pull up the video of their live stream. Okay, do that and do that. Is your burger recipe in Discord? I'll forget. Oh, I don't think I've ever put my burger recipe anywhere. I just grab a pretty generic one off the internet and use it. It's just like, look for one that has you using like onion powder, garlic salt, pepper, egg, breadcrumbs, and Worcestershire, and that'll be a killer burger. There's even one that you can put Worcestershire and A1 in the burger. If you put A1 on your bun, which is one of the only acceptable ways to use A1, you don't need it in the burger. How's there no Hugo command? Yeah, it's a tweet, so I'd have to go find the tweet, and we could make one. Reforge TV Hugo. Yeah, just kidding, Hugo. Here it is. Copy link to tweet. Add com Hugo. A hilarious clip of Lono killing Hugo. Adcom Hugo. Plague Tale was one of those games that I could tell was very well made and a good game, but just not for me. It just got really, really do this, then this, then this. No, you can't do that. You must do it this way. It just got a little dictation oriented or something. Basically use a beef meatloaf recipe and cut back on the breadcrumbs. Yeah, I almost didn't do breadcrumbs this time because I'm wondering if that's the one thing that I'm doing that I don't like as much. I think it's drying them out a little bit. I think I need to cut the breadcrumbs in half. I think I'm going to do that next time. I just don't know. There's something that I'm doing. We used flaxseed as an egg replacer, and we cut that because I wasn't sure if I liked that either. I remember asking for steak sauce at a 5-star restaurant for steak. Apparently, you're not supposed to do it because it insults the craft, but I don't care. Give me my steak sauce. It's a me thing. Oh yes, yeah, you're not supposed to do that. Snow uses Ritz crackers. Yeah, there would probably be a lot higher sodium count in Ritz crackers versus like the breadcrumbs that we use. So I usually like stealth games, but I really enjoyed... Oh, I don't usually like stealth games, but I really enjoyed Plague Tale. Well, the new Plague Tale, I'm hoping we get a really, really good look at gameplay today because we'll be switching in about 15 minutes. I am anxious to them to kind of ramp it up and make it a little bit more visceral, you know, and a little bit more action-oriented, you know. Me and my wife are fully invested in Division 2 now. Great game to play, especially if you always have someone running with you. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever be able to get into Division 2 with my wife. That's not kind of the game that she likes. Once we're done with It Takes Two, we'll probably take a break again from gaming. We kind of game in spurts, and then we go back. We'll probably go back to Star Trek Next Generation, you know, for our evening chill time. I use little breadcrumbs for stability, but the egg is usually more than enough for that. A really well-seasoned cooked steak needs nothing but potatoes, maybe asparagus. Yeah, I love some asparagus with a good steak. Yeah, yes. We didn't have any for Father's Day. I was bumming. I was like, but the steak was so big, it was fine. If the steak is tender and juicy, you don't need any sauce. Yeah, Doodley's in Memphis, Tennessee is crazy. I traveled to Tennessee just to eat there. Apparently, there's a place in town in Louisville that has killer steaks. And I was just going to go. There's a place, you know, over by the mall I was going to go to. But then someone was like, no, you got to go to this place. And I was like, oh. And apparently, it's crazy expensive. So we'll have to maybe, like, save and do it like an anniversary trip or something. Because we didn't get to go out for our anniversary because our babysitter got sick. Watching her play the Batman game was fascinating. She was smart enough to see the patterns, but had no thumbs or game sense. It's a strange juxtaposition. Yeah. I was sad that portion of the video got lost because the rest of the video was no good. Like, the opening with Halo was bad. Goat Sim was good for maybe 5 minutes. So, I was bummed to lose that. Like, part of me wished I would have just gone and trimmed it, you know, just to the Batman segment. But I was like, then everybody would be confused. Because when you trim a past broadcast, the chat disappears for some reason. It can't, like, sync it up and say, here's the chat from minute 25 to minute 52. Like, if I would have trimmed it down that much. It can't do it, so. This is turning into that South Park episode. Are you going to deglaze the pan? Chat's the best part. Can't lose that. Yeah. What we'll do is this week's community game night, but what we'll do, just so y'all know for Friday nights, I'll explain it probably again during the members only AMA, but what we're going to do is I'll start curating a list of games that I think will be really, really good, and I'll put them in a room, and I'll have people vote. So Tier 2 members will still be able to influence what we play, but it'll be a lot easier. You can just go in and vote. And we'll also have like a room for people to suggest. Any member can make game suggestions, but there'll be games people suggest that I'm like, no, we're not doing that, right? Are you still playing Elden Ring? Unfortunately, the Elden Ring no summons gameplay was losing support and viewership. And we're going to try a fresh playthrough of Demon Souls this Friday to see if that garners more support and more new people, because we garnered a ton of From Software fans and support leading up to and during Elden Ring, and then when I go to play through the game, the support's just been continually going down, and I just think the FromSoft fans have sort of said, if it's not new, if it's not a level 1 retch, if it's not a no-hit run, we just don't care. No summons is a bit... no summons in Elden Ring is like really pedestrian for the hardcore fans that are going to come to YouTube to watch content this far after release. So the people coming to YouTube to watch Elden Ring content now, like this far after release, my no summons run is just really pedestrian to them. They're just like, this isn't that interesting. So we're going to try a couple different things. Now, we're going to have a discussion today during the members-only AMA that may influence things like From Friday in a way that's great for members, that might motivate people to become a member because they'll feel like they're missing out on some really great stuff. Because there's just certain things you can't do. You'll hurt your channel. You know, like, I can't play through Ghost of Tsushima on lethal with the black and white filter on, even though I want to. But you can always do that if it's members only. Like when my wife and I played The Quarry, 3 days in a row, that was a new game, so maybe we could have done that in view of the public, but maybe not. You get to that second or third day, and then people just maybe they don't care. It's hard to know, it's hard to gauge, but I think it's more fun to experiment and try new things and new segments in an environment that won't hurt the channel. Like, we know we can cover news and have great discussions about everything going on in the gaming world, but we can't be self-indulgent and foolish, right? Hey guys, I'm gonna do a fresh playthrough of Diablo 1. People be like, what the frick are you doing, right? You can't be self-indulgent and foolish. So, we'll get into more details and get some suggestions from you guys during the members-only AMA. People who dictate how to play Elden Ring need to stop. I do get it for duels and PvP because that's important, but there's so much in that game to take advantage of and diversify gameplay. I think people should always try. I think you should replay the game and do a no summons run just to see how it feels. It's a dramatically different game. Now, you're going to get on the back half, and you're going to get to the Fire Giant, and you're not going to feel that way. You're going to feel very differently once you get to, like, Fire Giant, once you get to, like, Melania. You might not feel that way. You might be like, oof, this no summons thing is for the birds. But the first half of the game feels significantly better if you don't summon. Your core gameplay would have suffered if it was public. You would have felt the need to be on stage instead of just being cranky with Madam for losing the shotgun. That's so true, Zubair. The content does take on another personality when I don't have to be, like, on the stage, right? I'm not, like, putting on a show. It does. It takes on a very different personality. What time are you shooting for the AMA today? Well, let's see. The Plague Tale stream will probably go until about 1-ish, I'm assuming, maybe less. And then our reaction content to the Diablo video that Dreamcast guy did will probably only be about an hour to an hour and a half. So we will probably be in the AMA somewhere between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, I would guess. Somewhere around there, Eastern time. Very true. As like a New Game Plus hard mode kind of thing. Yeah, New Game Plus was just too easy, and we did a twin blade build that I thought was going to spice up the game, but I made the twin blade so strong it was stupid. I killed Radon in 7 hits, and I was like, this isn't going to work, guys. I'm not having any fun. So I had to put Elden Ring down. PvP just didn't feel the same. Apparently the latest patch upset the PvP community quite a bit, apparently. If you guys are tuning in for Final Fantasy XVI gameplay details, we have gone the full gamut. It was a great discussion. You'll have to rewind at the very beginning of the video. I outline the Final Fantasy XVI combat information that was in a post and some interviews with Yoshida, and we broke that down. We were kind of asking people what their favorite Final Fantasy was and why, and turn-based versus action, and it was a really, really great discussion. We're sort of off rails right now as we're kind of waiting. We're going to shift gears in just a moment to the Plague Tale Requiem reveal, and we'll be co-streaming that alongside of their extended trailer and gameplay. I'm anxious to see what they're doing with the gameplay because I really liked the first one. What did it do to PvP? It was the lack of PvP changes? I thought somebody said they did something that busted PvP. I had 2 people coming into my stream the day we covered the patch, and they were like, it's made PvP super bad. So, Drizzt is saying, has anyone played Final Fantasy Strangers in Paradise? How's that combat? I have a few hundred hours in Elden Ring and not one PvP duel. It's not my thing. Yeah. I've not done any PvP either. You do the little invade missions, and so it's like a simulated thing, but that's an NPC. It's not a real person, you know? Just that is enough to annoy me, where I would not want to play against a real person. The healing is just so tilting, you know? They go flying back, and then they heal, and you're like, ugh! You know? 66 like the remake more. Yeah, 66% pick the remake. Yeah. This must have been today. We are I think what we're doing is we're hitting topics that are either too new, like Ghost of Tsushima, like the sequel, like Ghost of Tsushima 2. I think we hit that one a little maybe too early. And then today, let's see where we're meeting people from. Oh, browse and suggest. Yeah. No search. That's why. We're getting a really good suggest, but the suggest videos are all over the place. So if you clicked on this video as a suggested video, we're happy to meet you, but we didn't convert a lot of subscribers, which is probably because I am just not known for Final Fantasy content, and so the Final Fantasy audience was probably like, this guy. It was fun. It was a great conversation. You guys really educated me. I thought that was really enjoyable. I was laughing and having a good old time. But that Final Fantasy audience, man, they're a tough nut to crack, because we didn't... If you clicked on this video today as a suggest and you click subbed and you continue to hang out, let me know in chat right now. I'd be curious how many people are still hanging out from that initial push that we got this morning. Because I did see lots of names in chat I didn't recognize. So I don't know if my lack of information. Some games love that. Like some game communities love that. They'll come in and be like, this guy doesn't know anything. Oh, this is going to be so fun. We'll just we'll educate him or whatever. But in general, there are some game communities that do not like that. They're like, I don't want to listen to some guy talk about my precious, my precious. Unwritten rule not to heal. All this time watching duels, I thought heal wasn't even an option. Did you watch the vid about why Asmon was banned from Purple? There was no reason to watch it. It was resolved within like 24 hours. I mean, I know he immediately pushed out a video because he's a smart guy, right? Make money off whatever dumb thing happened. But I didn't bother watching the video. I got a quick summary in my chat, and then overnight they unbanned him because somebody realized that, it was a stupid decision. So I didn't waste any time on the vid. I watched his vid this morning where he reacted to a guy. Some guy gave his final thoughts on Diablo Immortal. It was pretty good. I've been trying to see, like, okay, how does he do reaction content? Not that I would copy what he does, just are there things that we could do in our own way or do it in a better way? And then I also watched him. He started reacting to some guy's video about something like corruption in the industry or something. I forget what it was. It was about Diablo Immortal, and it was about, like, how microtransactions are, like, seeping into every game, and he was watching footage of some guy give a speech on monetization in games and how to do it. So I want to check out the guy's content that he was watching, because that guy, we're looking for people that are okay with reaction, right? I'm a longtime Final Fantasy fan, but if turn-based gets axed completely going forward, Final Fantasy's remake will be my last Final Fantasy. Alana Pierce tweets, absolutely effing not. Amazon's voice assistant will be able to mimic any person's voice after hearing a short audio clip. Amazon markets the tech as a way to remember a deceased family member. She's like, absolutely blanking not. So we want to find content creators that are okay with reaction style content, because I don't want to get a video bopped because, like, somebody's being, whatever. A plague. Hang on. I always spell plague wrong. A Plague Tale Requiem live gameplay reveal is what this is. Gameplay reveal live. We'll do this. Upper Echelon. upper echelon stuff gets like I like Upper. I liked when he covered me, but I don't know if his videos would work. He gets really deep into stuff that I just feel like touches on stuff that will take the chat into a direction that I don't want to go. There's an unwritten rule against healing and during PvP in Elden Ring. Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't care for him. He comes across as a basement dweller. You come across more professional. Gamer radio. Asmon's an acquired taste, but I think once you, let's check this out. I think once you kind of get a rhythm for how he speaks and talks, I actually think he's quite funny. His one where he watched this guy's video about his final thoughts or whatever, I thought it was excellent. It was really good. It was very funny. If it's unwritten, it's not a rule. It's a suggestion. Yeah. Okay, we'll do this. I'm going to give you guys a link in chat just in case redirect is stupid. Redirect's been pretty good lately, but it might not be. A Plague Tale Requiem gameplay reveal will be live. You can see the counter up there in about 30 minutes. So if you want to skip ahead, we're going to be co-streaming this, reacting to it, doing a breakdown. I'll probably go back and watch the video, slow it down, pause different things, and look for different clues about how the gameplay will change. I enjoyed A Plague Tale Innocence, so I'm really happy to finally get an extended look at A Plague Tale Requiem gameplay. This reveal, again, will be going live in about 30 minutes. So if you're watching the past broadcast, you can skip ahead. I'm going to bring over the live audience from this morning. We talked about Final Fantasy XVI and how the combat will be changing and leaning even more towards action than before. And